The view you are watching is live. It's the scene right now at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The sun will set soon, and the huge amphitheater of motorsport is an almost silent world of cooling asphalt and lengthening shadows. What a contrast to just a few hours ago. More than 300,000 people were here then, straining for a better look at the 33 cars poised for the start of the world's most famous race. And the tradition that began in 1911 was everywhere, including the singing of Back Home Again in Indiana, this time in the quavering 76-year-old voice of Peter DePaulo, who won this race in 1925 in a Duesenberg.
Back home again in Indiana.
Tens of thousands of automobiles parked in the infield, normally a 9-hole golf course. Look at the stands, almost completely encircling the 2.5-mile track. The people, they came from everywhere. Glamour girls and little babies and entire families. Middle America, out to rub elbows with excitement at Indy. The privileged were right down in the pit area, talking to a driver perhaps, soaking up glamour. And then everybody could see the thousands of colored balloons rising into a perfect Indiana sky. Clear blue, the temperature 72 degrees. This was the scene before the race.
Then I long for my Indiana.
For the first time since the race began 60 years ago, it will be seen during the next 2 hours on home television the same day the race occurred. An exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. May 29th, 1971, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The world's most famous automobile race. The Indianapolis 500.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Those are among the most famous words certainly in American sport. Owner Tony Holman of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway giving the command, gentlemen, start your engines. They're started now. Drivers in the cockpits, snugly fitted, turbochargers in the rear of these Offenhauser and Ford engines, and moving out behind the pace car, ready for the start of the 500. The Indianapolis 500 is being brought to you by Goodyear, the only makers of long-wearing polyglass tires. By the STP Corporation, makers of world-famous STP oil treatment and other high-performance products for your car. It's the Racer's Edge. And by American Oil Company and your local American Oil dealer. You expect more from American, and you get it. Hello, I'm Jim McKay, speaking to you from our ABC commentary position above the race course here at Indianapolis. The 1971 Indianapolis 500 actually shapes up as a race of battle of two worlds of motor racing. The Indianapolis establishment is represented by people like Bobby and Al Unser and A.J. Foyt, and the world of road racing is represented by Peter Revson and Mark Donohue and Dennis Holm and the English McLaren cars. It's therefore very appropriate that our expert commentator here today will be a man who has spanned these two worlds, who has driven twice here at Indianapolis, former World Grand Prix champion, and currently the leader in this year's battle for that world title, Jackie Stewart of Scotland. Jack, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Jim, thank you very much. Great to be here in Indy.
What do you look for, particularly in the first few laps here?
Well, I think we're going to see the faster cars getting a break. I think we're going to see Donohue maybe making the break before Revson even. I think Unser, I think Bobby's going to be up there. And I think Denny Holm will sit back and look at them for a little while. I think Al Unser will try and stay with them, and of course old AJ won't be very far away. I think these probably 4 or 5 cars are going to take an advantage on the rest of the field, and I think we'll see a break fairly early on.
All right, Jackie. Well, right now we're going to take a look at some of the men and cars that we've been talking about very briefly here. As we said, it is a battle among two worlds of motor racing. The first 3 rows, certainly any of the drivers there have a chance. On the pole, Peter Revson, the well-to-do 32-year-old bachelor from New York. member of the Revlon Cosmetics family, fastest qualifier in Indianapolis history. Next to him, Mark Donahue, graduate engineer from Brown University, sports car trained and, like Revson, driving an English-built McLaren car. On the outside of the first row, Bobby Unser, a former winner of the race, member of the Indy establishment as one of the racing Unser brothers from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Another McLaren car on the inside of row 2, driven by Dennis Hulme of New Zealand, former World Grand Prix driving champion. 3 McLarens out of the top 4 qualifiers. Second row, middle position, the defending champion, Al Unser, brother of Bobby, celebrating his 32nd birthday today. His car owned by former winner Parnelli Jones. Rounding out the second row, A.J. Foyt, a 3-time winner of the 500, tough, intelligent, master driver and mechanic, the master of the Speedway for the past decade. Row 3 inside, hard luck man of Indianapolis, Texan Lloyd Ruby. In 11 previous 500s, he's had many near misses, never a victory. Joe Leonard seemed a sure winner in 1968 when his turbine car suddenly stopped with a few laps to go. At age 36, the former motorcycle champion hungers for a win. Then there's Mario Andretti, Italian-born, American by choice, winner of the race in 1969. At age 31, he's at the peak of his driving skills. We'll be back for the start of the Indianapolis 500 right after this message.
What's it like to ride the Indy 500 pace car and stay ahead of these race cars at 100 miles an hour? Come on, we're rehearsing a start right now. Here we go on Amoco Super Premium, the same gasoline this official pace car is using in the big race. The only lead-free premium you can buy. Amoco Super Premium gives the pace car the performance it needs to keep out in front of the Indy car. Performance you get from only one lead-free. Amoco Super Premium gasoline. You expect more from American, and you get it.
We're very near the start now, the 1971 Indianapolis 500. Let's check in with some of the other most knowledgeable commentators we have here today. Chrissy Conner-Mackey will be down in the pits. Keith Jackson will be in Gasoline Alley. And right now, sitting in the pace cars as it moves around the track, is my ABC colleague, a Hoosier who came back home to his home state of Indiana this week and has been having a tremendous time. Let's go down now to the pace car and Chris Schenkel.
Thank you very much, Jim McKay, and we are down the backstretch now, 5/8 of a mile long. This is the pace lap. The 10th quiet of the parade lap is gone. And now we can feel the panorama of all the color and movement, because directly behind us, 33 machines, 18 Offenhausers, 17 turbocharged Fords. John Glenn, Ed Palmer, Tony Holman, and I are looking back now, and we'll get the word from John Glenn and from the chief steward, Harlan Spencer, whether this will be a go.
All right, now let's go down and check in with Chrissy Conner-Mackey with team manager Mayer.
Managing director of McLaren Motor Racing, Teddy Mayer. His cars have upset the establishment here in Indianapolis. Teddy, firstly, congratulations on fielding such a fine racing machine. Secondly, with a clear-cut speed advantage, how will you manage your drivers in today's 500?
Well, we feel, Chris, that they're sufficiently experienced so they don't really need management. They'll have to make their own decisions as to how they race when they get out there and find out what the track conditions are and when they see what the competition is doing.
Do you think that they can win the race without extending the cars to the limit?
I think if Mark Donahue were not here, that would be possible. With Mark running, they're going to have to go very hard the whole way.
Okay, Teddy Mayer, thank you, and back to you, Jim McKay.
All right, Chris, and here they are, poised for the start of the Indianapolis 500 1971. That orange car on the inside on the pole is Peter Revson. The blue car next to him is Mark Donahue, and Bobby Unser on the outside. The green flag is out. They're underway. Going into turn 1. Oh, look, the pace car has crashed into a photographer's stand. Mark Donahue is in the lead. We're on the race. We can't see what has happened down there. The pace car, out of control, crashed into a photographer's stand. People fell out as if a corn crib had been opened, just tumbling down on the track. Chris Schenkel is in the car. Tony Holman is in it. There's the scene. Astronaut John Glenn is in that car with Chris and Tony Holman. A man named Eldon Palmer, a local automobile dealer, was driving the car, not a professional race driver. There's Mark Donahue leading the race. It's hard to keep your mind on it right now. Donahue, Jackie, off to a tremendous lead. I can't imagine what happened to that pace car.
Well, I don't know. I think the pace car must have been coming through the pit lane much too quick, Jim, and it seems that he wasn't paying attention to where he was. I mean, an enormous amount of debris down there. He must have hit that stand at a tremendous speed. I mean, an absolute tragedy, it looks like. I certainly hope it doesn't turn out as bad as it looks.
There are a number of people down on the ground, as you possibly could see. The ambulances are there already. Thank heaven for the safety precautions of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Fantastic. I think Donahue's broken this gap that I hoped that he might do. He's taken a big gap here. I think he's got about 5 or 6 seconds even at this early stage. He must be driving beautifully at this point.
Unbelievable. He does have a lead. I think he had 3 or 4 seconds on the first lap. This is the man, of course, who was the first man to go 180 miles an hour at this racetrack during practice. In second place is Peter Revson. Revson, remember, sat on the pole. Bobby Unser, who was on the outside of the first row, is now third. That's the way they stand at this moment. There you see a look at Donahue, and look where everybody else is.
Yes, he's got a big lead at this early stage, a terrific lead.
And Bobby Unser has just gotten by Peter Revson. There he is, car number 2 in second place. The lead is now 7 seconds.
Fantastic. Unser's beginning to open up a little lead there, Jim. I don't know if he can hold that sort of pace at this early stage, but Revson obviously is taking a little bit of care in the opening laps.
Well, in this battle we mentioned of the battle of two worlds of motor racing, we have a sports car driver out in front, but an establishment man. Bobby Unser is in second place. Behind him, Peter Revson, and in fourth place now, the defending champion, Al Unser. So the Unser brothers are in second and fourth place. On the lead again, Mark Donahue, who had his training in sports cars from Media, Pennsylvania. And now here comes Peter Revson challenging back on Unser. Hey, that's a good battle, Jack.
This is a good place to pass to. He's come out of his draft and he's taking him going into turn 1 there. He's going a very...
And now here is Dennis Holm down into the infield, car number 85. Now that is not Revson, that is the teammate of Peter Revson. Revson is number 86, Dennis Holm of New Zealand is number 85. They're the standing supered as Dennis came down in the infield. However, I don't believe he hit anything. And so the action goes on in the early laps of the Indianapolis 500. We'll return in a minute. Exclusive coverage of the Indianapolis 500, which occurs this day in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart. If you weren't with us a couple of moments ago, there's been a disaster on the start. The pace car crashed out of control into a crowd of photographers. And a car into the pits, that's Dennis Holm, who spun to the infield a moment ago. We have a first report. Chris Schenkel, our colleague, is okay. He is out of the car. So is Tony Holman. So is astronaut John Glenn. And so is the driver, Eldon Palmer. They're all okay. But a number of people are in ambulances and on their way to Methodist Hospital. That's the only report at this time. In the race, Mark Donahue is an easy leader.
Okay, we've got a pit stop here, Jim. Denny Holmes in the pits is a very long pit stop, so we've gone back to the race at the moment, but someone else seems to have pulled off the track. George Snyder, I think it is, has pulled off and is sitting by the side of the track. Looks like a mechanical problem. He's getting out the car, so he's obviously quite safe.
Yeah, again, no accident here. George Snyder, a good USAC driver. There's the pace car. As you can see, the front of it there is damaged. It kind of took a half spin as it went into that photographer's stand, which is actually a hay rack. It's a thing on wheels with a little grandstand built on top of it. That may have been fortunate that it gave at least and rolled as the car went into it. There is the leader, the graduate engineer from Brown University. No Ivy Leaguer has ever won the Indianapolis 500. And there, the battle for second, third, and fourth. Peter Revson pulling out a bit now from the Unser brothers, Al and Bobby, and now Al passing Bobby. Rick Muther in car number 38 is smoking. He's back in the pack, certainly not in contention at this point. Muther is a Californian who also got his training in the sports cars, by the way. There he is smoking going into turn 1. Any idea what it might be?
A lot of smoke coming out of there. It looks as if it's coming from an oil leak, Jim.
There he is again. Another look at this car. You notice he's staying down low.
He's going to stay out of the groove because of the possible oil on the track, Jim, which is a considerate thought to the other drivers.
Well, flagman Pat Vadan, as you saw it, put out the yellow flag. That means the drivers must slow down and retain their position, and that's because apparently the oil that Muther has dropped. Muther into the pits then.
Oil's an increasing problem, Jim, at these very high speeds nowadays. The drivers can't see it so well, and of course the reaction time is so much longer. You're not allowed to add oil at Indianapolis, so therefore it's a major thing. If you do have an oil leak, the pit crew can't really do a lot about it, but the biggest risk is the accident.
Excuse me, again, there is the pace cars. You can see the left front headlight and fender there are extensively damaged where it crashed into this hay rack, and there are the ambulances moving back and forth. One man who appeared to be a guard I saw lying down appeared to be pretty seriously injured. He was wearing a yellow shirt. We could identify him that way. Chris Schenkel, we understand, is in the track hospital, but just for a checkup. We may be hearing from him soon. We certainly hope so. There again, Peter Refson in second place, Al Unser third, and there's the leader, Mark Donahue, who, remember, is stretching out that lead over the whole field. This is a 180-mile-an-hour race car, and it looks every mile of it right now.
Fantastic performance. I think they've done a real good job to get this put together so well and to have pulled out a lead at this point, and a spin.
There is a spin. That's Steve Krisaloff of the STP team. Steve Krisaloff, a young driver,
seems to have touched the wall. Yep. Look at the action there with the safety people. Very, very good at Indianapolis.
And out of our picture, I believe Mario Andretti has also come down in the infield, who oddly is the teammate of Steve Krisaloff, and the yellow flag is out again. Pat Vadan has been doing this job at Indianapolis for many years. He's a man who runs a health studio down in town. There's Krisaloff coming down into the infield. He appears to be okay.
Yeah, there's another.
And now another one.
My goodness, Mel Kenyon, it looks like he's jumping out the car. He looks as if he's injured his leg a little bit. He's limping around there, making across the track, which is pretty dicey even here.
Mel Kenyon, one of the courageous people in motor
Oh, and there's
racing.
Mario Andretti's car, I think.
Mario, yep.
Mario's obviously spun as well. It's obviously been a multi-car accident here due to the original spin. No, it's Gordon Johncock. Gordon Johncock, I think.
Yes, Johncock is car number 7. That's an orange McLaren, this last year's McLaren car. And there's Johncock over the wall. So we've had Steve Krisaloff involved in this. We have had Mario Andretti, Gordon Johncock, and Mel Kenyon, 4 cars involved in this, and it looked like Krisaloff started it when he hit the wall. All right, well now as the yellow flag is out here and the drivers are all okay, let's go down to Chrissy Katamaki for a report on the pace car crash.
All right, here is Bill Kreider of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, a photographer who was on the stand when it was struck by the pace car. Bill, actually, what happened?
Well, there were about 60 of us on the stand, and suddenly the pace car came right down through the pit, and we saw it was sliding, and saw that there was no chance it was going to stop before it hit. And it hit, and of course, those that are on the first row probably got the impact of the pace car. Those of us that were on the top got knocked clear down to the bottom.
How many were in the stand?
I would say about 60 people.
Were there any seriously injured?
Yes, there were several that looked like they could have been. They were bleeding profusely, and they had to be taken away in an ambulance. So I would assume that they were pretty badly banged up.
How are you?
I'm a little sore in a few spots.
Will you be able to do your work today?
Oh, you bet.
Okay, Bill Kreider, for cameraman, struck in the stand, hit by the pace car. Back to you, Jim McKay.
All right. And again, our information is that quite a number of people are on their way to the hospital. We'll check on that as soon as we can. Smoke rising to the sky, some of it from the crash cars, others from the foam being spread. And from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, ABC Sports is bringing you the Indy 500. We'll return with more in a minute. You're watching ABC Sports' exclusive coverage of the Indianapolis 500, which took place this day in Indianapolis, Indiana. The yellow flag's still out here, and remember, 4 cars were involved in this. Let's take a look at a tour of the course with the pole winner, Peter Refson.
Turns look 90 degrees, and they all look similar. And they are reasonably similar, but when you're driving it, they're all completely different. Starting from the start-finish line and heading down into the first turn, one would brake and then start from the outside wall and head down into toward the yellow line in the first turn, which we call a groove. And somewhere toward the middle of the turn, you start picking up the throttle and accelerating out of it. across the short chutes, we probably reached somewhere near 180 miles an hour. Then you back off and go into turn 2. Again, picking up the throttle somewhere in the middle and accelerating out down the long straightaway. At the end of the straight, I would say we're hitting somewhere between 215 and 220. We come to turn 3 and again brake and start from the outside wall and bring the car down low into the middle of the turn where we pick up the throttle again and accelerate to the outside wall on the short chute and accelerate across the short chute and back off, heading to turn 4, which again is different from turn 2. It's a little smoother and it seems to be flatter. And you come out of there and then you head down the front straightaway where again your top speed will be somewhere between 215 and 220.
Okay, a tour of the course with Peter Revson. There is the wreckage of one of the cars in this recent crash. That's Gordon Johncock's car. But let's get a report now. Chris Economaki has Mario Andretti.
Mario, what happened?
Well, obviously, there was some oil. I think that was spilled by Krisilov's car. And when we arrived on the scene, Johncock spun in front of me, hit the wall, and ricocheted into my path. And I was trying to kind of pinch it down close so I won't get into him, but nothing I could do.
What about the traffic? The faster cars coming up with the slower ones now.
Well, that's normal pace of the race. I mean, this you see everywhere. That's no particular problem.
Thank you very much. Mario Andretti out of the 1971 Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Okay, the green flag is out. They're racing again. I may have said that was Chris Economaki doing the interview. It was actually Dave Letterman. We have 4 announcers stationed in the corners for immediate reports like that on the race today. So that was the story from Mario. Mario Andretti, a former champion, out of the race along with 3 other cars. The leader still, and a clear, easy leader, is Mark Donohue. And there he is. Second place, Peter Revson. Third place is Bobby Unser.
Mark Donohue's getting through some traffic here now, Jim. This is a difficult time for Donohue because the other cars have caught him up under the yellow, so he's got to be very careful he doesn't lose too much time here. This is where a real driver shows himself at Indianapolis. It's a very difficult time for him, and it's one he's got to keep a very cool head on.
Okay, actually, the time difference between Donohue and the other cars is a little bit less. Peter Revson crept up a little bit, I think, on that yellow flag, but so also did Al Unser in car number 1 and Joe Leonard, who's now in it, in car number 15. They're coming up on Revson at the moment, so there are the standings at the moment. Donohue, Revson, Unser, Leonard, and Al Unser. The 2 Unser brothers running 3rd and 5th.
The Unsers are never far away, Jim. They're very experienced Indy drivers. Al's a pretty cool character, and he's coming in from behind here very strongly.
There is the leader again, Mark Donohue of Media, Pennsylvania, on the car that is managed by car owner Roger Penske. Car number 66 is your leader.
Really passing the cars in the back chute, Jim, with tremendous speed.
Jackie, if men like the Unsers can drive so well here at Indianapolis, could they drive on the Grand Prix circuit?
Well, if they drive this well at Indianapolis, I hope they don't come over to Grand Prix racing, Jim.
There's another car in the pits. That's Larry Dixon in car number 45. As the attrition rate begins here, it's not too hot a day. Hey, look at this racing here. Peter Revson.
A lot of moving going on there, Jim, when the cars get together like this. It's a very dangerous time in Indianapolis when they get this close. Obviously, these are 2 of the easily identified Gulf Orange McLarens that we can see there in the picture.
Again, we would repeat that Chris Schenkel and Tony Holman and John Glenn and the driver Eldon Palmer, who were in the pace car crash, are all okay. We will be getting a report from Chris Schenkel as soon as his nerves are composed enough, I'm sure. Boy, that would really shake you up to be in something like that. But others have been injured again, we would repeat. They're on their way to Methodist Hospital. We're hoping for a report later in the competition here on exactly who is hurt and how badly. A terribly fortunate thing, the pace car crashing into a stand full of photographers. There's a look at some of the 300,000 people here. They can actually seat more than 225,000 people. It's hard to explain this place to someone who hasn't been here, isn't it, Jackie?
It's an amazing atmosphere. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like Indianapolis, particularly from a driver's point of view. As he comes out from Gasoline Alley to face this immense mass of public is very impressive.
Now here comes the race for second place. That's Peter Revson out in front, but just behind him you saw Al Unser in the blue and yellow car 1, the defending champion, and then Joe Leonard. Now here is Steve Krisaloff. He was in that 4-car crash, and as you can see, he's walking and not limping. He's perfectly all right. It appears that all 4 of those drivers are fine. Ironically, the only injuries so far being civilians struck by the pace car. Now you see Al Unser really moving up on Peter Revson, and Joe Leonard staying right with him. Now Al Unser and Joe Leonard are teammates.
Here we are. He's going to use his draft here trying to get past. He should make it after this. He's done it. He's done it. He's passed him.
And Leonard, pretty close behind him, has not quite gotten by Revson yet, but he's trying to do it.
Revson's pulling down. It seems Revson's slowing a little bit.
So both Al Unser and Joe Leonard, teammates on the Johnny Lightning team, that cars owned by Parnelli Jones, a former winner of the race, have gone past Revson.
Definitely slowed down. Revson's obviously in some sort of trouble, Jim. It could either be an engine problem or even a handling problem. In Indianapolis, if a driver doesn't feel that he's completely happy with his car, he has to slow down. There's an alarm system goes off inside, and he really has to be cautious. This is an important time to recognize your own limitations at Indianapolis, and here you're seeing probably a driver under those circumstances. We'll have to see how the race continues to see if it's a major problem or whether he'll continue freely.
Peter Revson, also an Ivy Leaguer. He went to Cornell and later to the University of Hawaii. Did his first racing out there. Peter Revson, the pole winner. I spoke to him before the race.
Peter, the standard newspaper line is that it's the dream of every young American racing driver to sit on the pole at Indianapolis. I wonder, though, since your background's a little bit different than many of the guys here, if that was included in your dreams when you had your first amateur race in Hawaii 11 years ago.
Well, I really don't think about qualifying positions, or grid positions. I usually think about how I want to do in the race, and my big dream was to win the race, and that's still my big dream, is to win this race.
But when you first began, it was not only sports car driving that was in your mind. You had Indy somewhere in the back of your mind?
Yes, I did. But I didn't know how to get here. There's no prescribed way for a racing driver to get to Indianapolis. You've got to do it the best way you can, and the easiest way for me to get into racing was with a car I was driving on the street, which at that time was a Morgan Plus 4, and I used to go to the racetrack and tape up the headlights and remove the muffler and paste a number on it and go racing, and that's how I got my first experience.
It was complete with a wooden frame, wasn't it?
That's right. If you had an accident, of which I had a few, you need a carpenter to fix it, not a body shop.
Here's another old question, but one that I think applies in your case in a slightly different way. It's been often said and written that you don't have to drive race cars for a living. And yet you do it, apparently because you want to, because it's a pure desire on your part. What makes you do it?
Well, I don't think anyone has to drive race cars for a living, frankly. It's a sport. I don't think anyone has to play baseball. I don't think anyone has to play football. You know, you can always get a job in something. I could get a job. If I wasn't racing, I'd have to get a job. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. They think that I'm idly rich, and I'm not. And if I wasn't making a living out of racing, I'd have to be making a living out of something else. So, and this is a much more enjoyable way.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter.
Okay, Jim.
Not as enjoyable as it might be at this moment, however, because Peter Revson, who won the pole, has now dropped back to 4th place behind Mark Donohue, Al Unser, and Joe Leonard. And Mark Donohue is just stretching that lead tremendously.
An incredible lead, Jim. A great lead at this time.
The speed and spectacle of America's most prestigious motor race continues in just a minute. Return to our coverage of the Indianapolis 500. This is Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart and our other commentators covering the early part of the race, the leader, Mark Donohue. The 1971 Indianapolis 500 is being brought to you by the STP Corporation, makers of world-famous high-performance products for your car. By Goodyear, the only makers of long-wearing polyglass tires. By American Oil Company and your local American Oil dealer. You expect more from American, and you get it. Here are the standings in the race. Mark Donohue, as we said, a leader by a very clear margin. 2nd place, Al Unser, the defending champion. 3rd place, Joe Leonard. That is Gary Bettenhausen in the pits right now. And there's Art Pollard in car number 64. Early pit stops. These are not scheduled ones. People taking quite early ones. There's Gary Bettenhausen again. Let's take a look at a piece that we have here about pit stops. This is the way it happens. This is car number 9, A.J. Foyt. That's where they have to stop, precisely. there is the hose coming in for the gasoline. You see it's a very large nozzle, pours that gas in. There the hose coming from the tanks, which are at each pit stand. Almost a bit of ballet to this as the pit crew moves in to perform their job, locking the hoses into place. Of course, they try to get this done in somewhere around 18 or 20 seconds with a complete filling of fuel. Tire change, you can see that the jack works very, very quickly. This, as we said, the car of A.J. Foyt. And this, of course, is a demonstration. There's your tire change. Knock off hubcaps, of course, for immediate action. A look at how a pit stop works. With fuel pumping out. There are 3 required pit stops in this year's Indianapolis 500. But there may be more if the fuel consumption is not as high as they hope. But that's the way it works in a pit stop at Indy. Mark Donohue, the leader in the race, has not as yet come in for his first stop, of course. It'll be interesting to see how many laps he goes before that's necessary. There's Johnny Rutherford in car number 18 into the pits. Johnny was second fastest qualifier last year, and a big surprise, sitting in the middle of the first row, led for part of the first lap, but then Al Unser passed him and was never, ever headed again. Johnny Rutherford into the pits in today's race. Engine trouble for Rutherford. The pit stop action of the lead cars, however, will be beginning in a little while. All the pit stops you've seen so far have been unscheduled ones, people with problems, some of them major, some of them minor. Again, the standings, Mark Donohue out in front of Al Unser, who's in second place, then Joe Leonard, who very nearly won this race in 1968 in the Turbine car, and in fourth place, Bobby Unser, who did win the race that year. Peter Revson has now fallen back to fifth place in the race, in his car number 86. Again, you can see part of the immense crowd here as the cars come through the turns. As you saw on the tour of the course with Peter Revson, it is almost an exact rectangle. And into the pits, here comes Mark Donohue, car number 66, in for his first stop, and this one is scheduled. See how well the pit crew works. Roger Penske, the owner of the car, acts as crew chief. See the man in the aluminum-appearing suit there with the fuel. That's a safety precaution.
This is pretty important during a fire here, Jim, because of the possible risks of fire. It's a very important thing indeed. Now, here you're seeing a very quick pit stop. In fact, they're very efficient people. They're doing it very quickly. The guy has a hood on his head also for fire protection, as you can see. And here's someone else come into the pits as well.
Al Unser.
Al Unser's in, yes, the leader. Now, Al Unser's team are particularly good. George McNaughty is one of the fastest men in the business. Well, still, and there he goes. There's Donohue going out the pits again. A very good stop.
So the first place car is back on the race course. The second place car of Al Unser will be back very soon, but he's still in the pits at the moment. Mark Donohue's pit stop, by the way, our clock was not working officially on the screen, but the pit stop was 28 seconds. A little bit slower, I should think, than perhaps they'd hoped.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit slower. I think they should have been doing that in around 19 to 20 seconds. But this is the first pit stop, and I think everyone's probably a little bit nervous, Jim, as the first time. The mechanics fumble a little bit, perhaps, so I think we'll probably see these times speeding up as we go along.
There's A.J. Foyt's teammate, Donnie Allison, who you may remember very well from our NASCAR stock car coverage. And into the pits now, Lloyd Ruby, number 12. In his red, white, and blue car, sometimes been nicknamed the Silent Majority Special. Lloyd Ruby into the pits. Again, a scheduled stop for the man who's come so close to winning this race many times but has never won it. And back out on the track, the leader at this moment then is Joe Leonard, but Joe must come in for his pit stop sometime soon. Bobby Unser second.
Pits at this time, Jim, I always think look like Piccadilly Circus. They really are a busy place.
Oh, they certainly are. Peter Revson into the pits now for his first scheduled stop of the day. In the McLaren car number 86 that was, remember, the fastest qualifier for this race. A little spillage of fuel there, Jack.
Yeah, this is the thing that can be avoided sometimes, but they've done a fairly good job. He really gave him the chop.
a little bit of traffic cutoff coming out of the pits. Well, Peter Revson was brought up in New York, you know. He knows how to handle that stuff.
Well, he's doing fairly well.
And now we have Joe Leonard into the pit, so he's not the leader now. it looks almost certain, of course, that Donahue will still be the leader when everybody has concluded their first scheduled stop.
That looked a very clean stop again. The Big Naughty Boys will be the same team exactly as did Al Unser's car, so by the second stop they'll really be, their fingers will be going in the right direction, I should think.
And of course, when you have these two-car teams, it takes a little coordination to make sure that you don't come in at the same time your teammate did, because there's only one group of fellows to handle that.
This is correct.
All right, now here are the standings at the moment. Bobby Unser, the leader, because he hasn't made the pit stop yet. Mark Donahue is second, Al Unser third, and Joe Leonard fourth. But Donahue is still the dominant figure in the race. We can expect a stop by Bobby Unser, the temporary leader, pretty soon. Now, Lloyd Ruby is in fifth place. Here's a lap time for Bobby Unser. Should be something over 50 seconds to go around this 2.5-mile course.
It's getting very, very fast nowadays, Jim. When I came here to race, it was a lot slower and it was a little bit more comfortable, I should think. It's doesn't give you much breathing space down the straightaways nowadays.
I know you've been questioned many times since you got here as to when we can expect to see you in one of these race cars. You are a very popular figure the 2 years you raced here.
Well, I enjoyed it, Jim, when I came across, but I've been concentrating so much in Formula One racing, road racing, etc., that I really haven't had the time.
Okay, well, you know, I think, well, we're watching for Bobby Unser, and I think our timing is not going to work out here because he's not going to come to the finish line. He's coming into the pits. Bobby Unser coming in for the pit stop that was inevitable for him if he wasn't going to run out of gas at this point. So the leader again now will be Mark Donahue. Then Al Unser and Joe Leonard, just as they were before the pit stop started.
And here we go in the pits. He's got a very old, experienced man with him. He's got Dan Gurney looking over his shoulder, the All-American race driver who I think was probably the most popular man that ever came to Europe to motor race. And, of course, Dan's retired from racing now and is looking after the team.
That's right, an experienced Indy hand in Bobby Unser, being tended to, as you said, by a former Grand Prix racer. Oh, what's happened there, Jack?
Oh, he's lifted the clutch by the look of it. They've got a wheel going there at full speed. I hope they've tightened up the wheel before that's happened. He's obviously still got it in the jacks. They're working at the back end, Jim. I'm not sure what they're doing.
What was that expression? Full chat?
Full chat.
That's British, I think.
I'm afraid it is.
Okay, well, here's Bobby back out on the race course again. Bobby Unser, winner of the race in 1968. Remember, his brother Al won it last year and is currently in second place behind the fleeting race car of Mark Donahue. Donahue driving a McLaren, remember, the same as is Peter Revson, who is back in fifth place now. There are the standings. Donahue and Unser, Leonard and Unser. 66, 1, 15, and 2 are the numbers. If you'd like to spot them yourselves sometime. Again, something of a general view. You can see the trees and the green grass that normally is a golf course in the infield here. And this enormous group of people, the crowd itself, a tremendous factor in the atmosphere of the Indianapolis 500. Mark Donahue appears to be going to have a fairly pleasant afternoon at this point because he just keeps stretching and stretching that lead.
His pace is really, really very cool.
Sitting behind him, however, a good ways behind him, but always dangerous, are those Unser brothers, along with Joe Leonard, a 36-year-old tough former motorcycle champion, who also has never won this race and came close, as we said, one time in a turbine car. What? There's Larry Dixon. He was in the pits a couple of times and now is pulling down off the course. Donahue in traffic, having no trouble, passing slower cars. Again, looking at the crowd from our overhead crane camera.
What's he doing? He's on the inside. He's nearly lost it. He's collected it. Beautifully corrected. He must be, I think it's a mechanical trouble, Jim, because he's still running all right. It must be a mechanical trouble.
This is the sort of thing that happens at Indianapolis. Mark Donahue way out in front, beginning to lap the other leaders, and has come down into the grass, and it looks like it's the end of the afternoon.
It looks like it, Jim. He's cooling it very quietly in there. It's obviously some form of mechanical problem.
He had just lapped Lloyd Ruby and Bobby Unser. He only had one other car in the same lap with him. Here's slow motion.
He's pulled it off quietly, obviously thinking there's something wrong. Then he's nearly lost it, Jim. The car's beginning to slide here, and it's got into opposite log. Now look how well he's held it here. And he's got one of the tires on the tarmac again, which helps a little bit, but he could easily have lost it completely and come across the track. This is where you see a driver working at his best. Donahue's kept a very, very cool mind when he's been doing this.
More to come as ABC Sports continues to bring you the 500. Again, we're back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 1971 Indianapolis 500. Jim McKay here with Jackie Stewart. Our colleague Chris Schenkel was certainly scheduled to be in on this commentary right now, but he was involved in an accident in the pace car. So had a look at Bobby Unser, who is in fourth place in the race at the moment. Mark Donahue, the leader, however, has gone out. We saw him down in the grass. Just suddenly, the car just stopped on him, it looked like, Jackie. There are the standings. Al Unser, Joe Leonard, Lloyd Ruby, Bobby Unser, Peter Revson. That's the standings now. Keith Jackson is down in Gasoline Alley, and he's with Mel Kenyon right now. Let's go down to them.
Mel Kenyon, car number 23, the man underneath when Gordon Johncock went over the top. Did you have any idea he was coming?
Yes, I was partway out of the car, and I saw him coming, and and so I dropped back down into the cockpit in a crouched position. And he went up over my nose and left some tire tracks on top of my helmet and folded the dash around my shins. I'm real lucky to have 2 feet left.
Really bad bruised legs, but apparently not so bad. Certainly you're walking around, you don't look like you're hurting too much.
No, the nose can't wear off in a little while. They had to do some stitching on the right leg.
Nothing broken?
Thankfully, no.
Oh, now, when you were hit, were you able to retain your consciousness? I'm sure the pain in the legs was severe, and you got hit in the head. Were you conscious all the time, Mel?
Oh, yeah, I was able to get out of the car and run down into the infield, and where I sat down immediately. But the legs were just numb, was all.
Well, the helmet must go on the mantelpiece as a memoir of this one.
That's a good old hat.
Mel, we're delighted you came out as well as you did. Good luck to you in the future.
Thank you much.
Mel Kenyon. Now here's Jim McKay.
Mel Kenyon's one of the courageous people in motorsport. You know, he had a badly burned left hand some time ago, and he has to wear a special glove with a socket in it, which fits over a peg on the steering wheel to steer with his left hand. And now he's had this accident here, but as you can see, seems to be okay. But now Joe Leonard, in car number 15, has taken the lead in this race from Al Unser. Joe Leonard, teammate of Al Unser, has taken the lead. Al Unser second. Lloyd Ruby is now third. Bobby Unser is fourth, and Peter Revson, who sat on the pole at the beginning, is in fifth position. Interesting going is on here. Again, a wide view of the Indiana countryside and the Speedway golf course that surrounds the race course here. A.J. Foyt is sixth, by the way. Let's not forget about him. Haven't given him too many calls so far.
No, I think A.J. is very quiet in the background, but he's never very far away, Jim. I think A.J. is having a little bit of power trouble. I've been watching him, and a lot of cars have been passing him on the straight and going out of corners.
A.J. Foyt, who, of course, is a 3-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. Well, it's an understatement to say I'm glad to see you.
It's always good to see you, but especially today, Jim.
This, of course, is Chris Schenkel, who's just come up to our booth, and, well, tell me, how do you feel and what happened?
Well, we're fine. I'm happy to report that Eldon Palmer, the driver, Tony Hinkle, and, or rather, Tony Hullman and John Glenn are all very fine, and it was a quick 2 worlds, the awesome world of seeing those machines and skillful drivers and then imminent danger, and I just hope the ones that were injured will recover. And I know Eldon Palmer tried everything that he could to get the car stopped before we got in there.
You have no idea why he did it, why he couldn't control the car?
No, everything happened so fast, Jim, that I don't know. I just feel very sorry for my friend Tony Hullman, who's done so much here, and I wouldn't want anything to mar his great record here, along with that of Joe Cloutier and Clarence Cagle.
Okay, well, just sit back and relax, and next time you want to say something,
I'm going to give myself a black flag today on this telecast, all right?
Okay, I can certainly understand that, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
The racing goes on the track. Joe Leonard and Al Unser battling for the lead. In traffic, getting ready to lap a slower car. There's Leonard in the orange, number 15. Behind him, the blue and orange, number 1 of Al Unser. 1 and 2 cars are teammates in cars owned by Parnelli Jones. Al Unser does not like seeing his teammate out there right now, however.
Terrific performance here, Jim, for 2 cars. 2 cars of the one team, and the one car owner to be doing so well, to be lying first and second.
Looks like Al might be setting him up.
I think he is. I think he's going to press him here. He's coming out of his draft. I don't think he's going to do it this time, though. He's really getting into his draft now, though. This is the sort of occasion that we'll have to see it now. I'm sure he'll try and come out when he comes out of this next turn. Well, this is when a driver really starts to operate, because he's having to think exactly what's happening. He's got to wait for the right times. When he overtakes, he's got to be in the braking distance so that the other driver's embarrassed. Now look, he's going in now. He's going to embarrass him into a position where the other driver can't retaliate. Now, he did that beautifully, beautifully executed. Really a master there.
When does the intelligence of a race driver tell him that this is the time to let the other man go by?
Well, there's a lot of instinct attached here, and you've got to have common sense. The biggest thing in a racing driver nowadays is common sense. You never let your heart rule your head. You've got to keep very cool, and you've got to recognize when someone else has done you the wrong trick. And you've really got to be honest.
Anything, in short, that these men out on the racetrack believe in, it's safety.
Oh, absolutely. At this sort of speed nowadays, you just can't take any risks with each other, and they've got the greatest amount of respect for each other's talent. This is a great thing amongst racing drivers today, and when you see two drivers of the caliber that you're seeing this time, I think you're seeing the art of motor racing at its best.
Again, we would sum up, Mark Donohue jumped off to a quick lead in this race, and it stretched it out to about a half a minute when suddenly his car broke down, and he had to take it down into the infield. He's on his way back to the pits now. We'll hope to get the word pretty soon on exactly what happened to Mark Donohue's car. And that left it up to the two teammates at the moment, Al Unser and Joe Leonard. We're still, however, in the early going in this race. Less than half of the race gone by. Average speed of the race to this point, 159 miles per hour, which is not a record. Of course, we've had yellows.
I think it's because of the yellows, Jim. We've had a lot of yellow flags, and of course the average goes down drastically. We had a lot of traffic there going through almost the fire that we had up in turn 3, so there's been a lot of ups. I think you'll see the speed going up because the cars are capable of all doing over 170 mile an hour average. There's quite a variety of speeds here, but I think we're going to see a lot faster laps yet.
A classic duel going on here, it appears, between Al Unser and Joe Leonard. Third place is Lloyd Ruby in car number 12, the man who's never won this race and almost did several times. Fourth place, another former champion, Bobby Unser. Again, we return to the Indianapolis 500, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indiana on this May 29th. The leader, Al Unser, in car number 1. Joe Leonard is second. Lloyd Ruby is third, and Bobby Unser is fourth. And Lloyd Ruby is very much in contention. And here he is in car number 12, all painted in red, white, and blue, as is his helmet and the garage and everything associated with this car.
He's the quiet man from Texas, but he's very much an American and very much a very talented driver. He's been over to Europe. He's done very well in road racing over there, and of course he's done other kind of road races.
Joe Leonard into the pits, the second place car. He has a luggage sponsor, kind of looks like a Le Mans suitcase in front of his car. It's a piece of equipment you have to have in the 24 hours of Le Mans. Here's the timing on Joe Leonard's pit stop, the second place car behind his teammate Al Unser. And this same crew will be tending to the car that's ahead of him when he comes in the next time.
Getting a little practice this time, Jim. They're changing a rear tire that's taking a little bit longer.
Second scheduled pit stop for Joe Leonard. They're hoping to have only 3, but it could be 4. It could be close on fuel by the time they get to the end of this race.
Yeah, I think this is one of the problems. It's going to be dodgy with all the yellow flags, Jim. That's going to be part of the problem here, to be able to judge the fuel consumption.
When we say fuel, by the way, we don't say gasoline because it isn't gasoline. What is the exact composition they use here? Do you know, Jackie?
Well, it's pretty much alcohol nowadays, and they put it up with, they pop it up a little bit. It's got nitro in it. It's got all sorts of things to mix it up. But no one really wants to say how much nitro they put in their alcohol nowadays, but they certainly are doing more than pump gasoline.
You're looking at the lead car, number 1, and the reason he wears that number 1 is because he was the USAC, United States Auto Club, national champion last year, and he's coming into the pits for his second scheduled stop of the day. That's the pole you see that shows the standings to the spectators here in the crowd. Here's Al Unser. See if we get a timing on him. No one has won this race 2 years in a row since Bill Vukovich, Sr., did it in 1953 and 54.
A little bit of lost time there, Jim. His tire started to run away from him. He had to stop and go back to it, but even so, he's still going to be a quick pit stop. The fellow in the rear tire there is doing the whole job. He's done every one so far, so he really should be practiced this time. But of course, here we are. We're over 20 seconds again, and I think part of it was his.
And as Al Unser comes out of the pits with that good quick pit stop, guess who's leading the Indianapolis 500? Lloyd Ruby, 43 years old. The taciturn Texan who has so many times led. There he is. He's had all manner of reasons for going out of this race. One year, he just started to pull out of the pit a little too quickly while the fuel hose was still attached to his car to pull the whole fuel tank out of the side.
He's had wretched luck here, Jim. The year that I was here first in 1966, he was leading.
There's A.J. Foyt, three-time winner of the race, in 6th place at the moment.
A.J.'s a pretty cool operator when he comes in.
He sure is. Now let's look at Bobby Unser there, I think. From our overhead crane camera, some 240 feet in the air. We have 14 cameras altogether. Goodyear blimp is up in the sky. They have a camera. And here is Lloyd Ruby into the pits. Lloyd for his second scheduled stop. That's not a microphone boom. That's probably a drink of water for him.
He's got a drink of water on there, Jim, and he's also got goggles on there. This is to keep clean goggles for him. We're at the halfway point, and Bobby Unser's now leading the race. That Lloyd's into the pits. We can see the clock going here. Getting ready to push him out. Long pit stop by the looks of it, Jim.
Yes, it is.
Oh dear, he's
having
really
a little
losing
trouble?
his time.
Might have a little trouble getting it to start. It might have stalled on him there.
No, I don't think it's stalled. I think they just had a little trouble there. 27 seconds is too long.
So Lloyd Ruby has lost the lead that he had for a couple of laps there. Bobby Unser now the leader. That's just a piece of paper blowing across the track, not debris.
This is a little bit of a trouble at Indianapolis. Sometimes with cooling, paper can get into the radiators and really cause a lot of trouble.
Here are the standings again. Bobby Unser, the leader. Talking about things getting into the radiator. When he was trying to qualify 2 weeks ago, Bobby Unser hit a bird and it fouled up the left front brakes, and he had to go out and do it again later in the day. Not the kind of bird you speak of in England. There's no young lady involved in the accident.
That's a pity. Just talking about that, I hit a hare one of the last times I was out racing, Jim, or hare, a very large hare, which is a large rabbit. I don't know whether you have them in America.
Yes.
Came across the track, and I hit it. Big problem.
They also had a rabbit run on the race course that's first day of qualifying. Fortunately, though, nobody was out at the time, so the rabbit got away. Bobby Unser, the leader in the race, going through traffic now. How much of a problem is this for the race leader?
It is a big problem, Jim. For the race leader, he's got to judge it very well, because some of the times he's coming up on very slow traffic, considerably slower than he is, and he must recognize this. There are no stop lights in racing cars, and it's sometimes difficult to recognize the speed of the car ahead of you, particularly if he's hiding another car. You're so low in the car nowadays.
There he is, doing exactly what Jackie's been talking about. Again, if you've just joined us, this is Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart, former World Grand Prix Formula One driving champion, and twice a driver in this race, and once very nearly the winner of it. A man who has seen both worlds of racing, and we've indicated here before today that both worlds of racing are involved this year. Mark Donohue, basically a sports car driver, led the race. Peter Revson, a sports car man, was on the pole, and here Bobby Unser, who's been the leader, is coming in for a pit stop. This is Bobby's third today. He actually may have to take one more than the rest. He had a very early stop.
He came in under a yellow. I think he thought he was taking an advantage at that time that could well be a disadvantage.
There's the clock on his pit stop. He will not be the leader when he goes back out again.
The entry speed here is very important to the pit. He's got to be very careful where he stops. There's red lines there because his fuel leads can only go so far. While he's in here, I think Brother Al's got into the lead.
That's right. It'll be a case for Bobby of after you, Albert, at least for a while. Brother against brother, literally here. And Al Unser takes the lead as Bobby comes out of the pits. There are the standings. Al, Joe Leonard, Bobby Unser, and Peter Revson now creeping back up into 4th place. The month of May in Indianapolis means motor racing at ABC Sports is bringing you the biggest race of them all, the Indy 500. We'll be back in a minute. Again, we're back at Indianapolis. Al Unser is leading the 1971 Indianapolis 500 as he did to the finish line in the 1970 Indianapolis 500. Trying for a repeat performance here, something that nobody has done in 17 years. That's when Bill Vukovich Sr. did it. By the way, Bill Vukovich Jr. is in the race today. Started back a ways, but has been moving up and could get into contention before it's over this afternoon. Another son of a former great driver in the race, Gary Bettenhausen, is around 10th place right now. Al Unser, though, with a fairly easy time. You saw somebody pushing their car home. That happens quite a bit. Plus 10 means that Al Unser has a 10-second lead at the moment over teammate Joe Leonard. Change French right rear has not been held up to him, however.
Pit signals are very important in any race, Jim. This keeps the driver fully informed of everything that's going on. A very valuable part of a racing driver's situation here. But it's interesting to note that the leader has a radio in his car, Jim, back to his pit. Both the Johnny Lightning cars and the Samsonite car, I think, has a two-way radio to the pit, which is a great way of communication.
That's true. It's just a one-way, though, I think, Jack. He can talk to them, but they can't talk back to him.
That's a good thing. Great from a driver's point of view. You can talk to the team manager and have no cheek back.
A lot of people would like to have one of those around the house, wouldn't they? Okay. Look out!
An accident.
That's Rick Muther in car number 30.
Oh, he's got...
Hit another car. It's David
My
Hobbs.
God, I think that was Al Unser that just got through. The car nearly turned over there.
The leader just got through that, but it's
They're
Rick
okay.
Muther and David
One
Hobbs.
driver's getting out.
Here comes Leonard, that car on the left, trying to move around. Not the one right beside them, but the second car there. Joe Leonard, who's in second place. Al Unser, as you can see, got through okay. He's all right. Nothing hit his car, and both drivers, almost unbelievably, are out of there. Muther almost turned over.
Oh, this is one of the things about Indianapolis that I fear most. I think the track's only 50 feet wide at this point. There's no room for maneuvering at all, Jim. If a car goes off in front of you in any way, you're going so fast that you can't avoid it. I think in this particular case, Muther seemed to hit the left-hand side of the pit wall in the entrance, glance across and hit Hobbs as he was going by. Hobbs had absolutely nothing he could do, and this is the problem of Indianapolis. You're in a very confined space, and if anything does go wrong with you, you have no opportunity to maneuver, and you're going far too fast to do anything about it. It's a big problem here, and it's a problem that's lived in Indianapolis for many years. Both drivers, I think, are 100% okay. Everybody's giving the thumbs up. They're making sure the cars don't go in fire here. The safety crew, again, at Indianapolis must be proved. The whole system works remarkably well.
That's the remains of David Hobbs' car. He's a teammate of Mark Donohue.
We're having the run over again. Here we go. The car's glancing off. There must be something wrong. He's misjudged it in some way. He's hit the wall. He's hit the wall, and he's glancing now towards the left-hand side, or the right-hand side of the track as they're coming round. Now look at David Hobbs, minding his own business. Bang! Suddenly hit from the side. Probably never saw him coming. Look at the impact there. Tremendous impact. This may be at 175 miles an hour. The car's slowing. It's lost at least two of his wheels. It's going on now. This is the difficult. Look at it canting up. Car going through on the right-hand side, but look at the angle of the car. It's almost turning over. Unser's gone by on the right-hand side there as we're looking at the screen. This is a very difficult situation for a driver. He did it very well and maneuvered out of it, but my goodness, look at the devastation being caused here in these motor cars. Mechanical pieces flying all over the place. Look at this tire coming down the track. And this is Unser we just saw disappearing out of track again. The yellow flag, of course, is being thrown by Pat Vadan. The other cars are slowing down. And look at this, very quick thinking here. A car on the right, gone into the pits immediately.
That's the safest place in sight. And, of course, it's also intelligent as far as the race is concerned. So, we would repeat that both of the Roger Penske cars are out of the race, Mark Donohue and David Hobbs, and now the leader is coming into the pits. We may see a lot of pit stops here because they'll take advantage of this, probably to top off fuel, right, Jackie?
This is the thing. While the yellow flag's gone, the pace is slowing down, so therefore the cars can come into the pits and can use this time to the best advantage. We'll probably see a lot of pit stops, as you say. Joe Leonard is leading the race now while the yellow's on, and out they go. That was a very quick pit stop, in fact. They didn't take much time at all, and there he goes back out.
Looked like it was strictly for fuel. There's A.J. Foyden doing exactly the same thing in his car number 9. He was back in 6th place when all this ravaging of race cars started out there a moment ago.
A.J. looks very relaxed in there. He's almost having a seat, a little rest, a little relax. Very experienced driver here, a man of great experience, and of course one of the leading drivers in the world today.
And A.J. coming out of the pits again. The yellow, of course, still out. They did not drop the red. For a moment, it looked like Pat Vadan had his hand on the red flag. There is Hobbs's car, number 68. He was the one who was hit. The hit-ee, you might say. Muther was the hitter who bounced off the inner pit wall. The wall leading to the pits, actually. And here's Joe Leonard in the pits now. He's been the leader for a few seconds here. Now, down in Gasoline Alley, Keith Jackson is with Art Pollard and Jim Gilmore, the car owner. Let's go down. Anytime, Keith.
We have here Art Pollard, driver of Jim Gilmore's car, from 31st to 10th before the bad luck bit you. What happened, Art?
We had a little engine problem, something we didn't really think would happen today. We've had very good luck on the engines that Joe Bogosian puts together for us, and doggone, just slipped into the top 10 about the time that it started backfiring, and about 2 laps later it quit entirely.
Incredible pace out there today.
It was really fast. I had caught up with the middle pack. Of course, starting in the tail end, I got all kinds of packs to run through, but the car was working exceptionally good today. I was real happy about that, and you go through the one pack, and then you gained another, and I never did have the front runners in sight, but I understand they were running pretty fast.
Jim Gilmore, as a car owner, you're aware of one thing that's skyrocketing, that's expenses.
That's right, Keith, but I think today the plan that our chief mechanic, Clint Brawner, and Art Pollard put together, starting from 31st spot, worked beautifully. And we never dreamed that we could drop a valve, because I think we have the very best engines, and what we do, I believe, is proper. But Art did a fine, fine job.
Same old bugaboo, the unexpected.
Right.
That's true.
Better luck to you next time, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Art Pollard and Jim Gilmore. Now again, Jim McKay.
Okay, thank you very much, Keith Jackson. Jim Gilmore has the best case of laryngitis so far today. There are the standings in the race. All the excitement of auto racing at its finest, the Indy 500. We'll return in a moment. The green flag is out at Indianapolis as we continue ABC Sports' exclusive coverage of this race on May 29th, 1971. There are the standings. Al Unser and Bobby Unser, the brothers from Albuquerque, running 1 and 2. Peter Revson has now moved back into 3rd position. In 4th place, Lloyd Ruby in number 12, and then A.J. Foyt in car number 9. What an interesting group of racers. Cars dropping out at a pretty high rate. I have 18 cars left on the track now, Jackie, out of the starting 33.
Well, there's been a lot of accidents, and there's been a lot of hard driving going on, Jim. I think the pace has been extremely hard, and this has a great telling in the mechanical failures. The drivers have been driving at a very high pace. There's been somebody going a little bit slower there, going in on the inside. But Al Unser is driving a beautifully calm race. Tremendous preparation by George Bignotti and his team in this car. Just a tremendous performance. They keep doing it all the time, and Al Unser's got a great lead in the USAC standings, and of course he was champion last year, and it looks the way he's going just now as if he might be champion again.
It sure does. He's already won a race in Rafaela, Argentina. Actually, it was 2 heats, 2 races, so to speak, on the same day. He also won at Phoenix. You saw that one on ABC's Wide World of Sports live. He broke down at Trenton in the previous USAC race just before this one. And Al Unser looking just as calm and in just as much control right now as he was last year. Here's Joe Leonard into the pits again. Joe Leonard, this could be a problem this time. Let's see.
He seems to be telling them something, Jim. There's a bit of communication going on. The mechanics, George Bignotti, doesn't quite know what to do. They're looking at the turbocharger. A lot of smoke coming out of it, puffing of smoke. I think this looks a bad sign, Jim. George Bignotti doesn't seem to have a great deal of urgency on there.
Nothing routine about this one for the 36-year-old former national motorcycle champion who was only 9 laps from victory here in 1968 in Andy Granatelli's turbine car when it just plain stopped on him just after the green flag came out.
Joe's had a lot of disappointments here. He was undoing his seatbelts there. It doesn't look too prosperous today either.
We have a report on some of the people injured when the pace car crashed into a photographer's stand just after going off the track at the beginning of the race. Dr. Vicente Alvarez, an ear and nose specialist from Buenos Aires, Argentina, has covered the 500 for many years. Just Joe Leonard out of his car. That's it for the day. Joe Leonard is out of it for 1971. Dr. Alvarez has been a journalist. He's also a medical doctor. His condition at Methodist Hospital is critical, but responding. He has head and chest injuries. 4 other people are in Methodist Hospital, 3 with broken right legs, 1 with a head injury. None of those 4 are critical. All of the others involved have been treated and released. So we have 5 people in the hospital altogether, and Dr. Alvarez from Argentina, the most seriously injured. Terrible. Fortunate thing that happened at the very start of the race when the pace car got out of control after it had come into the pits and crashed into a temporary stand erected primarily for photographers. Again, our colleague Chris Schenkel was in the car, but he's okay. So is everybody else who was in the car. Owner Tony Holman of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, former astronaut John Glenn, and the man who was driving the car, Eldon Palmer, who is not a race driver of any kind, but is an automobile dealer here in Indianapolis.
David Hobbs was involved in a crash a few moments ago here. Let's go down to the pit area.
Well, Dave, we saw it happen. How did it happen?
Yeah. Well, you tell me. You saw it happen. I didn't see it happen. All I know is that Rick Muther appeared to lose control while he was on the inside of me, and he bounced off the inside wall. I was over by the outside wall, and he bounced off the inside wall and just pincered me between him and the wall, and we both ran into each other on the wall all about the same time. It was all pretty hair-raising.
David, this is your first Indianapolis. What is your impression of it?
Well, up till then, it was fine. It seems to have gone sour a bit now. It's a good race, really. It's inclined to be a bit dangerous because you're going so fast all the time. You never slow down in the field. You just go around in company together at a high speed. And an accident like we just had, there's not much you can do about it. Once it all starts to develop, really, you're going so damn fast you can't really do much about it.
Would you like to come back?
Yeah, I'd like to come back and have another crack at it, yeah.
David Hobbs, a rookie, out of it.
All right, that was Chrissy Konamaki down in the pits with David Hobbs, who was involved in that recent crash. To wrap up this pace car business, it used to be that people who were kind of nationally prominent in racing, but not drivers, used to, as an honor, drive the pace car here. However, I think after 1966, a decision was made that the cars were going so fast they better go to a professional race driver. They had Roger Ward and Sam Hanks and people like that. This year, however, they returned to the situation where Mr. Palmer, an automobile dealer, was driving the car and the accident has occurred. There's Bobby Unser, who's in second place behind his brother, Al. They're in cars number 1 and 2, by the way, not by coincidence, but because Al won the U.S. Auto Club National Championship last year on a season-long basis, and Bobby was second. There are the standings again. The race goes on, and we'll return in a minute with more of the Indianapolis 500. Again, we're back at the Indianapolis 500, where Al Unser, at this moment, appears to be on his way to his second consecutive victory. This is Jackie Stewart, former world driving champion, a two-time participant in this race, who's our expert commentator today. What would be your general comment at this point, Jack?
I think, first of all, the disappointment of Donohue's retirement. I think everyone expected him to do well, and he did well. He got a great pace to begin with and a tremendous lead. I think, however, Al Unser's driving a beautifully calculated race and should be credited with it. But, of course, the accident and the pace lap was a drama, and then following that, we've had some other ones.
That car we saw pulling over behind us was George Fulmer, who's in trouble right now. No crash, though.
Well, that's good. It's another guy out, unfortunately. Deletes the field a little bit.
Another one of your sports car chaps, too, George Fulmer, basically.
There's been a strong field here from the sports car fraternity. At least seem to be learning the business of the 500. But up there in the front, they seem to be the old stagers of the 500.
Okay, and back to the racing. Bobby Unser in second place, moving along, threading his way through traffic very nicely before this crowd of more than 300,000 people. Weather conditions perfect, remember. 72 degrees, a cloudless sky. Al Unser the leader, then Bobby, Peter Refson third, Lloyd Ruby fourth, A.J. Foyt fifth.
All right, here, it may look like a family reunion, but Joe Leonard is just out of the 500. What was the trouble, Joe?
Well, actually, Chris, we re-improvised, but it was the same thing that happened at Trenton. The turbo wheel, I guess, just won't take the abuse, so we're going to have to do something about that.
Do you think you could have won?
Well, obviously, I think I could have won. That's why I was here, and I guess the Lord just didn't pick me to win this year.
I see your daughter's over here. You proud of your dad?
Yes.
Diana, you relieved?
Oh, I'm very proud of him, no matter what position he finishes in.
Well, Joe Leonard, out of the race. Back with his wife and daughter. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, Chrissy Konamaki again down in the pits, and here's the leader, Al Unser. Hard to imagine when a car is cruising this nicely, this apparently effortlessly, Jackie, the trouble can occur, and yet so often it does in the world of racing.
I think from a driver's point of view, this is just when he's most nervous, Jim. When I'm driving a car and when I'm in the lead and everything's going too well, I get frightened. I feel things going wrong inside the car. Every small vibration seems to be a mountain shaking. I think I'm more nervous when I'm in the lead, when I think the car is good, than when I am, let's say, experiencing some sort of trouble. This is the point where a driver has time to think about it, and I never try to get my mind off the fact that perhaps something will break, so I never allow my elation to get up.
getting a lap time on the leader here. My old Irish grandmother used to say, things are going too well. Is that the feeling?
From a racing driver's point of view, and particularly mine when I'm leading, this is exactly how I feel. I'm really frightened. That frightens me to think that things are so good.
Okay, here he comes to the finish line. 53.1 for Al Unser on that lap. That's 169.490 miles per hour. Pretty fast.
Getting very fast, Jim. This is in a position where he holds a commanding lead, and there he's getting his particular signal. They're
32 seconds ahead.
They're giving him a plus, and they're giving him a time. They're being a little conservative. They're giving him 168 miles an hour.
Well, we've rechecked ours, and I think our time is right. That may have been the lap before, as a matter of fact.
Well, they haven't got the benefit of the electric timing, and we have.
They have, however, the benefit of a fantastic race car and race driver out there. Al Unser leading his brother Bobby by a clear margin. Peter Revson third, Lloyd Ruby fourth, and A.J. Foyt fifth. We're nearing...
They've also got the experience of Parnelli Jones down there, Jim, which must be a big asset to any racing team. Parnelli's experience at the Indy track is really great, and I think the whole team with Bignotti and Parnelli there behind Al just gives the whole field a bit of a disadvantage.
Okay, again, for those of you who may have joined us within the last minutes here, this is ABC Sports covering exclusively the Indianapolis 500 on this May 29th, 1971, a race that began in 1911, 60 years ago, and has been continuous except when the United States has been involved in war. The leader in the race is Al Unser, a man celebrating his birthday today. He is 32 years old today. He's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and has an easy lead at the moment over his brother Bobby, who is 5 years his senior. It was a race that started out with Mark Donahue of Media, Pennsylvania, and Brown University leading by a tremendous margin. And Bobby Unser now has come into the pits. This is the second place car. Peter Revson is also in. There's a turning on Bobby. Revson in third place, also in the pit. This is a real race to get out of the pits. Whoever gets out first is going to be in second place in the race.
It's going to be a big help, Jim, whoever gets out first. They're starting to roll it. He's having some trouble getting away. He's certainly slow in getting away. Bobby's slow.
And there goes Revson.
Look at Revson, really streaking out, really taking a big advantage here.
Peter Revson streaking out of the pits from behind Bobby Unser, but past him and into second place.
This certainly helps when it comes to getting out the pit. We'll probably see the next lap if he's got an advantage. He's had a clear run, which is important.
Okay, so Peter Revson, who started the race on the... Whoop! Something has happened. It's just apparently just a blown engine, no car in there. You get a little gun shy at this racetrack. You've seen a few crashes.
So any engine blowing up.
ABC Sports is proud to be bringing you the Indianapolis 500, and we'll be back with more in a minute. It's a perfect day, weather-wise, in Speedway, Indiana, home of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. The leader, well into the race now, is Al Unser of New Mexico. Second place, Peter Revson. Third place, brother Bobby Unser. Fourth place, Lloyd Ruby. Fifth place, A.J. Foyt. There is the leader, Al Unser, closely pursued by Lloyd Ruby, but Ruby is a lap behind. He's just trying to unlap himself, get himself on the same lap with the leader. A huge, sprawling complex here, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, some 539 acres. There are seats for 225,000 people. More than 300,000 here altogether. The straightaways here are 3,300 feet long each. Those are the long straights. That's about 5/8 of a mile. The short chutes, as they call them, the short straightaways on each end are 1/8 of a mile, and each turn extends for 1/4 of a mile. The banking, however, is very slight. It's just 9 degrees, and 60 feet wide on the turns, 50 feet wide on the straightaways. That shallow banking makes turns a little bit more difficult than a place like Daytona, for example, doesn't it, Jack?
Well, in fact, Daytona's got a very high banking. We've got a car coming into the pits. In fact, it looks like the leader. I think it's Al himself. He's coming in very fast. The entrance speed is very important here.
And this is a scheduled pit stop for Al Unser. Everything right on schedule so far for car number 1. The winner of last year's race, and looking more and more like the possible winner this year.
Yeah, they're doing the right rear wheel here, Jim. I think this is the time and race where perhaps we get a little bit of oil pickup, and they're putting a new tire on there, I should think, probably to keep a clean rear tire for the maximum amount of grip.
How different is this race car, and how different is this driving from your Formula One Grand Prix racing in Europe?
Well, nowadays it's getting a lot closer, of course, particularly in the cars. The cars are getting more and more alike each other. Many of the cars, the McLarens, for instance, are being designed by the same people for road racing as they are for Indy racing or oval track racing. The driving, however, is different. There's a particular technique required at Indianapolis, and this is something that one has to get only by practice. It's something that you can't immediately adapt to. This is why it was I suppose surprising to a lot of people that so many of the road racing group qualified high at Indianapolis, but on the other hand it's the Indy guys who at the present time are leading the race and are up front. But I think this has been mainly due to mechanical trouble. However, it seems that the modern technology of McLarens have certainly proved to have a big advantage here, particularly while the month of May was going on.
Okay, there is Peter Revson in his McLaren car that won the pole position here at a speed of more than 178 miles per hour. Peter broke the old qualifying speed by more than 7 miles an hour, a tremendous increase. There is Bobby Unser in car number 2 right behind him. These two have been dueling for a long while. They're battling for 3rd and 4th place now. Lloyd Ruby is 2nd behind Al Unser. Again, a look at the crowd. It's going to take a few hours to empty this racetrack, and here comes Lloyd into the pits. And when they start pointing and waving like that, it looks like trouble, Jack.
It really upsets the team managers too, because you're waving your arms and there's no way of really speaking to them. There's no way of communicating, so it's a big problem. This is one of the reasons I think that Al Unser's team's fitted in their radios. It's interesting again to see they're changing that rear tire. I'm sure it must be because of the track being very dirty. I don't think it'll be wear. Bit of flame at the back there. They seem to be troubling in starting the car. They seem to have the electric starter at the back, Jim. This is, look, Lloyd Ruby again. My goodness, he's got bad luck. Every time he comes to Indianapolis, he has a problem. He's just one away from winning the race or leading the race, and here he's in the pits.
So Peter Revson here goes into 2nd place, flashing past the pit area.
It seems very unusual the car won't start. There must be a problem there. Perhaps he stalled the car while he was coming into the pits or while in the pits.
Revson and Bobby Unser then are again battling for 2nd place in this race, not for 3rd place, as Lloyd Ruby continues to have that trouble. Al Unser way out in front. He's not in contact with these cars at all, but these two are battling for 2nd place. The 32-year-old bachelor from New York and Bobby Unser, a 37-year-old veteran of the USAC Trail. There you see the green light, which means at Indy what you'd think it would mean. It's okay, race as fast as you can.
Pretty important information when the yellow comes on. Someone else pitting here, and here we're having the back straight away. You can see the speed of the cars coming in there, Jim. They're doing over 200 miles an hour, perhaps 215, 220 miles an hour.
So a tremendous contrast there a moment ago of that golf course in the background.
There he goes, he's off. They've pushed him away. He's got to start there, but he's still slow. You know, it's been a long, long stop, Jim.
Remember, a couple of years ago, when Lloyd Ruby went out of the race for yet another time with a kind of a silly little problem, Chrissy Katamaki asked him for his comment, and he just said, Chris, Lady Luck does not ride with me in this place. But he's fighting Lady Luck every inch of the way again this afternoon.
Well, it may not be fighting him in one way, but it's helping him in another. He certainly hasn't got himself into any trouble today, and this is the main thing. Peter Revson still leading away there with Unser behind him. They're having a good race for 2nd and 3rd place. 4th is A.J. Foyt, 5th is Bill Vukovich, 6th Mike Mosley, 7th Bud Tingelstadt, and 8th Jim Malloy.
That's the way they stand right now. Billy Vukovich moving up in the standings, and remember his father, Bill Vukovich Sr., was the last man to win this race back-to-back, and it's looking now like Al Unser might repeat that feat. Bill Vukovich Sr., of course, then died the following year in a crash on this race course. But the sons of race drivers tend to become race drivers. Peter Revson lapping Lloyd Ruby, putting a lap on Hard Luck Lloyd. Ruby, however, as we said, not giving up by any stretch of the imagination and going pretty fast, just a little bit slower than Peter Revson.
Yeah, I think he's got trouble. He slowed down there a lot because the car behind him passed too easily. Much too easily, Jim.
Just then he did. He slowed down, and there's Bobby going by him. Bobby Unser is in 3rd place. What a birthday present this can be for Al Unser, celebrating, and really celebrating right now, his 32nd birthday on this very day at Indy. Peter Revson 2nd now, Unser 3rd, A.J. Foyt 4th. as they head down this straightaway yet again. 200 laps of this 2.5-mile track completes the race. In the month of May, there's no more exciting place to be than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500. We'll be back for more of our same-day coverage in a minute. We return to today's Indianapolis 500 motor race. Second place right now is that orange car, the one that appears to be second, Peter Revson, car number 86, trailing by a great distance, however, to Al Unser, who is the leader in car number 1. In third place, number 2, is Bobby Unser, the Unser brothers from New Mexico, traveling 1 and 3. Peter Revson second, A.J. Foyt in fourth position, lurking in the background, but A.J. will have to depend on other people's hard luck if he's going to win this time. Again, there's Peter Revson. Revson, who drove his first race 11 years ago in Hawaii, of all unlikely places, in an old Morgan sports car. A long way from there.
Good place to choose the Jim.
That's right.
I see Peter here doing a thing that some of the other Indy drivers are not doing, giving quite a wide berth while he's passing. He's obviously concerned about the traffic here a little bit more than the regulars.
Peter came here, I guess it was 3 years ago the first time. He started in 33rd position, the last car in the field, and finished 5th. And he was pretty upset at the time, I think, that he was not named the Rookie of the Year. Mark Donohue was. Well, he's in the race this time, and Mark is out of it after leading.
He's adapted very, very well to Indianapolis, a very smooth driver.
Peter, by the way, won a race that you did one time. He won the Formula 3 race at Monte Carlo in 1965, and you, as I recall, won it the year before, right?
That's correct, in 64. The man who wins Monte Carlo is always looked upon with some concern.
Okay, and the man who won the Formula 3 race last year at Monte Carlo, Ronnie Peterson.
Oh, crash! Coming straight.
Mike Mosley,
very heavy.
A terrible crash. He's crashed into other cars that were parked there. That's Donohue's number 66, which was just parked there earlier.
Here's another driver stopping.
Bobby Unser getting out of his car.
No, I don't think so. Bobby's still in his car. He's over on the right. Look at this driver here jumping over.
Maybe that was Bobby. At any rate, it's Bobby and Mosley involved in this. That number 95 was also a pre-parked car, a Bentley Warren. Just 2 cars have crashed now, but they crashed into the 2 cars that were already parked on the wall after driving out of the race. I don't see Mosley.
No, I haven't seen Mosley at all. The safety crew really got into action there, really getting the powder on the fire.
You know who that was that stopped here? It was Gary Bettenhausen. It looks very much as if he got out to help, to leap through the flames and try to get these other drivers out. Here's slow motion.
There's the impact. Something's gone wrong with that car, Jim, because it's running along the outside.
Right rear tire flying high in the air. See it?
Look at the flame there. This is immediate smoke from the fuel. Trailing it all the way along with him. Look at him. He's going to cross the track now. This is him crossing the track now. Still incredible speed. He must still be doing... Look at the tire coming down. He must still be doing 150 miles an hour.
Now that's Bobby hitting backwards into the outside wall. Bobby Unser.
Tremendous impact.
Yeah, there's Mosley going in, and the car of Donohue simply exploding. Gas tanks exploding. And now Bobby sliding into the wall.
Again backwards, more flame. Wheels all over the place.
Bobby Unser is out of the car. Gary Bettenhausen, see that blue car parked there? That's Gary Bettenhausen.
This is
there he
getting
is.
Out.
I think he may have, whether he is in it or not, I don't know, but at any rate, he got out and ran through those flames to try to help somebody. There is Al Unser leading in the race. He was not involved in any way. The man I don't see again, Jackie, is Mike Mosley. I don't know whether he is out of his car yet or not.
I didn't see Mike. I saw the helmet of Bobby still in the car while it was stopped, but he seemed to be moving around and trying to get out the car. I think he's okay.
Day of tremendous crashes here at Indianapolis. Started when the pace car, unbelievably, crashed into a photographer's stand just after it had pulled off the track to start the race.
Car crashes of this kind, Jim, are terrible for race drivers. The biggest fear a race driver has is fire, and particularly the possibility of ever getting trapped into a car while this is going on. We'll see the ambulance, the firefighting people really looking after people here, but of course they're so lucky here in Indianapolis to be so well looked after, but the driver really is very frightened of fire.
That ambulance has to be for Mike Mosley. As we said, Gary Bettenhausen was okay when he got out. Bobby Unser was okay when he got out. And it may be that Mosley is still stuck in that race car.
These walls are very firm at Indianapolis, Jim. They don't
see
move
somebody
much.
Throw a helmet then? I couldn't tell whether
I saw
Mosley's
it was a white
not.
helmet. I think he threw a wall. But they've got all the right equipment. That's one thing we're sure of.
Two things militate in the driver's favor here. One is the tremendous fire safety equipment they have at Indy that gets there very quickly, and the other is the fuel cells.
Fuel cells are a big help, but you saw the fuel running out the car so quickly. It was such a gap in that car. It hit the wall so hard that doesn't matter what you have. You've got high octane fuel there. It's alcohol in this case, and it just goes up very quickly. But what worried me there, Jim, was that the car was completely offline. Here's Bobby Unser. I can see him getting over the wall now.
Yep.
There's Bobby there, so he's okay. That's a great relief anyway. They've got his crash helmet there.
There's Bobby walking towards you on the right-hand side, not turning around away from you. Put his hand to his head. But nobody has told us where Mike Mosley is. And
I think Bobby's looking around there for Mosley, Jim, but what I was worried about with Mike Mosley was the line the car took when the accident happened. I wouldn't be surprised there's a mechanical problem there. He was in about 2 laps before the end, I noticed.
It is interesting, though, Jackie, that Mike, trying to qualify on the first day, crashed into that same turn twice within about an hour in 2 different cars. Later qualified successfully, obviously, and was in the race. So Mike Mosley has had a bad time on turn 4 this year. 24-year-old race driver, one of the youngest in the field, and considered very much of a comer. He finished 4th in the U.S. Auto Club National Standings last year. Again, there's Bobby. He looks perfectly fine.
Yeah, he looks very well. No trouble at all. Having a smoke and walking down. There's his mechanic showing his helmet, I think, to Al. Now, this must be a terrific relief for Al Unser. While he's leading the race, to see a car involved, probably recognizing it as his brother and very concerned about him. This is a very emotional thing for a race driver, because when an accident occurs of that magnitude...
2 leaders are on the same lap.
Now, Bobby
there
just...
he's going, showing the helmet there again to Al.
Very interesting. Showing that to Al Unser on the course, leading the race under the yellow flag now, of course, which came out instantly when the accident occurred. Al Unser is the leader. Bobby, naturally, out of the race for today. So here are the standings. Revson is still second. Lloyd Ruby is still in there. He's in 3rd place. A.J. Foyt and Vukovic. We'll return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in just 1 minute. Again, we're back at Indianapolis, and still the leader is Al Unser. 2nd place, Peter Revson, Lloyd Ruby, A.J. Foyt, Bill Vukovic. There is Harlan Fingler, and here is Parnelli Jones down remonstrating with Harlan Fingler, and I think maybe he's claiming that Revson's moving up under the yellow.
This is one of the big things, and Al really is worried here.
Mike Mosley has just been put into the ambulance and will be taken off to Methodist Hospital. His injuries, we don't know. Check them as soon as we can. Smoke from Lloyd Ruby's car. My goodness, it's going to happen again to Lloyd. It certainly looks like.
Looks like oil.
Oh, he's on fire.
Looks like oil. Oil would cause this, Jim. An oil leak onto the exhaust system, hot engine immediately catches fire, and it's keeping going, so it's feeding the fire.
Best thing to do, though, just head for the pits in this circumstance.
He probably doesn't know it's there at the moment, but he's heading for the pits, I think, in any case, because he's come out of the groove. Quite a fire. I hope it doesn't go any further, Jim.
Well, this sure looks like the end of the road for 1971 for Lloyd, and the assortment of problems, as we said before, that this 43-year-old man has had on this racetrack are difficult even to document. Ruby out of it again. Every year he's up among the leaders. Last year, he took the lead, and just as he took the lead was black flag.
It's wretched luck. It's followed him around. He's coming into the pits. He's really going slowly now. He's coming in, but he's still in fire, Jim.
Yellow flag still out. As you see, they're clearing the debris from the accident.
Doesn't seem to be getting any worse. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely an oil fire. A lot of black smoke. Oh, he's at safety now because they'll get the fire stuff on him.
Here comes Lloyd.
A real gentleman from Texas.
As Jackie indicated, he's not only driven here, but on the road circuits of the world also. Not in Formula One, but in sports car racing. He's done very well.
Yeah, he won Sebring one year.
And now the fire equipment on it, so Lloyd's going to be okay, but boy, you can imagine he's a discouraged Texan right now. I talked to him a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, about this very subject, and he was kind enough to go through all the problems he had before this and document them for us.
Well, actually, I think really the first one that really hurt was 66. We liked 26 laps from finishing and had nearly a 2-lap lead and just riding. And that's when both the cam housing broke, got black flag.
And Lloyd Ruby is in trouble. What a time for a misfortune. Well, we'll wait and see. I'm sure his pit crew saw him go by. In fact, there he pulls into the pits. Lloyd Ruby is making a pit stop at a crucial point of this race. The crew of car number 14 going to work and 2 United States Auto Club officials have given a preliminary signal of that's all. He is apparently out of the race because of oil leakage and cannot continue. This is a man that led the race for 68 laps. And you can see the feeling of one of his crew members, and we can't blame him.
And in 68, we got a little bit closer with like 24 laps. And Bobby, I think we had about a 15 or 18 second lead on Bobby that year. And the coil went out.
Lloyd seemed somewhat relaxed there in the pits, and certainly very disappointed, Lloyd Ruby, because he did have a good chance to win. Well, he always drives here at Indianapolis very, very well, but never has been able to win so far.
And in 69, that was one that had already pulled a boner there. It was a little misunderstanding the pit, a little on both of us, and I run off and left the gas tank hanging on, so it pulled the side of the car out.
Routine stops, however. Lloyd Ruby finishing up his right now, starting back out onto the track. Oh, look, Roger, there's fuel pouring out the side of the car. Looks like he started too soon while the hose was still in there.
Yes, apparently the hose was still attached. Either they couldn't get it loose or they didn't have it all the way full, and he started to leave the pits, and it appears as though they've torn the fuel tank loose from the side. And, of course, Lloyd is getting out, and you know he's got to be a very, very disgusted race driver at the moment.
And last year, we did work up to the lead, and rear end went out last year. So.
Well, at the moment, A.J. Boyd is going to come into the pits, and Ruby takes the lead, but at the same moment, he's getting the black flag. I've never seen that before.
And now Ruby's car is smoking up, and it's burst into flame.
I just don't believe Lady Luck ever rides me at this place. Just one of them things.
So it's been through the years at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Lloyd Ruby, the man from Texas. Time after time, he's taken off the boots and walked away. And here it is again. In 1971, he's been participating in his 12th consecutive Indianapolis 500. He has yet to win the race. So many times he's come so close. There are the standings in the 1971 race as we near the finish. Unser, Revson, Foyt, and Vukovich. And we'll bring you more action at the Indianapolis 500 after this brief message. Well, it won't be long now, apparently, until Al Unser wins his second consecutive Indianapolis 500. He is the leader in the race. Billy Vukovich is in good contention. In car number 32, he is the son of the last man to win back-to-back victories here. Bill Vukovich Sr. won in 1953, 1954, and then was tragically killed in this race course the following year. His son now in 4th position in the race. Young Bill Vukovich, he was the Rookie of the Year here a few years ago, and still very much rising in the ranks of the U.S. Auto Club competition. Now back to Al Unser in car number 1. And if he wins this race, he's just about going to lock up car number 1 for next year, because on U.S. Auto Club points, he's going to have some 2,900. Even though there's a lot of races to go, that's a big lead.
It's a big lead on the second man, a long, long lead.
There is Peter Revson, who is in second place. Remember, he sat on the pole with a record speed of 178.696 miles per hour. They also appear to be in the progress of setting a race record here today, despite all the yellow flags.
When the running's good, Jim, they're running very fast. I have been watching the pit lane here, and they're doing 172 mile an hour in some cases, steadily around 171 miles an hour. So the average, of course, while the track is clear, is very, very good indeed.
We have a report on Mike Mosley, who was injured in the crash a good many laps ago now. Mosley is in hospital with a compound fracture of the left leg, fracture of the left foot, fracture of the right elbow, slight burns, but only slight burns, on hands and face. He may have to have some surgery. There were no other driver injuries in the race, almost unbelievably, with all the crashes. And our consolations to Mike, a fine young race driver. And again, we would report that in the pace car crash at the beginning of the race, our colleague Chris Schenkel, who was in the pace car, was not injured. Neither was anybody else in that pace car, included Tony Holman and astronaut John Glenn. and a man named Eldon Palmer, a local automobile dealer who was driving the car. They were not injured. However, a number of people were, including 5 who are in the hospital. The most seriously injured, Dr. Vicente Alvarez, a racing enthusiast and sometime racing correspondent from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He's been coming here for many years. He is in critical condition, but responding. He has head and chest injuries.
This looks like a very cool Al Unser now. He must be watching the whole scene at this time. Oil pressure, water temperature. He must be very nervous about the car's reliability and these closing laps, Jim, because a racing driver at this time is a very nervous man, particularly if he's won in Indianapolis before and he's running for a second win.
Well, how many laps were there to go when you broke down one year here? Not very many.
8 laps to go, Jim. I was leading the race with 8 laps to go. I had nearly 2 laps in the lead, and unfortunately the engine blew. A great disappointment for me, a great Scottish disaster almost, because all those dollars suddenly disappeared.
And the race went to an Englishman.
That's even worse. If it had gone to an American, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Graham Hill won the race that year. And it still looks like Al Unser is going to win this one. The crowd beginning to rise to its feet soon. They'll cheer him through the final lap when he gets the white flag that means 1 lap to go for you. Then it'll be off to his 32nd birthday celebration. The prize money won't be known until a good while after, depending what equipment was used and so forth, but it could be somewhere around $275,000. Total prize money well over $1 million. And there's the white flag for Pat Badan. 1 lap to go for Al Unser. Just about 2 miles from victory.
Knees trembling all the way, being very, very nervous. He can almost coast from here, he knows it, but even so, you're never there until the checkered flag. And even after the checkered flag, you're never too sure that the counter's been doing the right number of laps.
1953 and 1954.
By the way, Al Unser's mother is very much prominent in the grandstands here. She comes to just about all the races her 2 sons are in, Mom Unser, and a couple of weeks ago here gave the traditional chili supper for everybody at the track. She cooked some 50 gallons of chili. Here we come, though, to the checkered flag for Al Unser. There it is. The race is over as he crosses that line, the last yard of brick left at the race course that used to be called the Brickyard. Here is the second place car of Peter Revson. He's going to take second. Third place will go to A.J. Foyt, and fourth to Bill Vukovich Jr., fifth to Jimmy Malloy. We'll be back for a word with the winner of the 1971 Indianapolis 500 right after this message. We'll be getting a word with the winner here in a moment. Let's just run down the standings quickly here, Jack. Al Unser, the winner. Peter Revson, second. A.J. Foyt, third. Then Bill Vukovich Jr., Jimmy Malloy, Donnie Allison from the NASCAR circuit, Bud Tingelstad, seventh. Roger McCluskey, eighth. I think that's the first time he's been able to finish here in all the years. Ninth, Denny Zimmerman, a rookie. And 10th, Gary Bettenhausen, who got restarted after helping in the accident. What do you think?
Well, a great result for Al Unser. Absolutely sensational. A very... I don't know, exciting race. I've been more excited up here, Jim, I think, than I would have been in the racetrack. A really exciting race. I think a fantastic 500, and for the spectators, a very eventful day.
By the way, we're going to have an exciting time next Saturday on Wide World of Sports. We're going to see this man driving in the Grand Prix of Monaco through the streets of Monte Carlo. Right now, however, let's go down to Victory Lane for the interview with the winner and Christy Kanamaki.
The face of a winner. Al Unser of Albuquerque, winner of this year's Indianapolis 500. Congratulations, Al. A fine job. How tough a race was it for you?
Well, Chris, I tell you, it was a lot harder than it was last year. We knew this from the standpoint of what Donahue and McLaren's cars were going to do, and of course Bobby and A.J. Foyt. We knew that everybody was going to be running a lot faster than we did last year, so we knew that it was going to be a hard race.
Early in the going, when Donahue was so far ahead, were you sort of giving up?
No, I didn't ever give up, Chris. I run the car as hard as I could all day, and I knew that if Donahue finished, that he would be way out in the lead, unless he had some kind of problems, and this is what paid off for us.
Your car was meticulously prepared. Did it give any trouble during the day?
None whatsoever, Chris. That car just performed beautifully, thanks to George Bignotti, and of course Charlie DeBucchi was the engine man on it, and the whole thing. Jimmy Dillermarter was a chassis man, and there's just not enough words I could say that could describe how things went today.
Al, you had a radio. Did it play an important part in your victory?
Well, I think so, Chris, because it really did give me a secure feeling out there because I was able to talk back to the pits and without making hand signals. So this is really important. And of course, I had a piece of paper in the radiator at one time, and I was able to tell them, and when I made that unscheduled pit stop for fuel, they was able to take it out, and I think this has really saved me.
Al, did you have any frights during the race?
Yes, I did, Chris. When Rick Muther crashed down here on the front straightaway, I was the first car there. In fact, they were still spinning, and when I went by, Rick was in the air still, and pieces were flying all over, and I really didn't think that I was going to make it because any minute I figured one of the cars would come back across the track into my way, which they didn't. I was able to get by soon enough.
Well, Al, you made it, and you made it big. Congratulations and continued good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
All right, now back topside.
Somewhere in Indianapolis tonight, there will be many choruses of Happy Birthday, Dear Al. Happy birthday to you. He's 32, and he won the Indianapolis 500. Much of the commentary you heard here today would have been done by my colleague, Chris Schenkel. However, Chris was involved in a pace car accident. He's okay, but he was shaken up, and we prevailed on him just to take it easy and watch the race with us. That's the story from Indy. Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart, Chris Economaki, and Keith Jackson. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. The Indianapolis 500 was produced by Chuck Howard and directed by Chet Forty. Second unit director, Larry Camp. The technical directors, Werner Gunther and Jack Hughes. Associate producer, Don Olmeyer. Associate directors, Lou Frederick, Bernie Hoffman. Now this is Jim McKay with Jackie Stewart, Chris Schenkel, Chris Economaki, and Keith Jackson saying so long from Indianapolis, Indiana. The Indianapolis 500 has been brought to you by Goodyear, the only makers of the long-mileage, custom-wide tread Polyglass tire and the wide Polyglass GT. By the STP Corporation, makers of world-famous STP oil treatment and other high-performance products for your car. It's the Racer's Edge. And by American Oil Company and your local American Oil dealer. You expect more from American, and you get it.